Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon Marcello, sitting across from Michael Niziolek. This is the Auburn Undercover podcast presented by WeHaveDonuts.com, DOUGH nuts.com. Delivery service for all kinds of gourmet donuts in the Birmingham area, and they also deliver to Prevail Union coffee shops in Montgomery and Auburn. Check them out at WeHaveDonuts.com for more information and options. WeHaveDonuts.com. Michael, end of the week here, recording a second podcast just because it's been very newsy
because the sky is falling.
Well, yeah, that too. For the basketball program, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit, especially as it concerns Bruce Pearl. But I wanted to start with football and this obvious big game coming up between Auburn and Georgia, and Auburn's opportunity to, one, stay in the SEC race, but also probably just save Gus Malzahn's job solely just with a victory. I think a victory would just erase all chatter of any hot seat talk. So a lot could change between Saturday, between the hours of 2:30 and 6 o'clock. But, you know, any final thoughts heading into this game? Because the more and more I look at it, the more and more I realize that, man, is it going to be tough for Auburn to do the one thing I think they need to do, and that's slow down Georgia's running game. Because that's a monster.
Well, I was doing a little on the opposite end, just kind of looking at the story about Jake Fromm and just what his numbers are like and his efficiency. You know, he's kind of a quarterback. I don't think that's going to necessarily beat Auburn, but he might be able to do what they need to do to win the game. Quick passes, accurate, get little chunks of yardage here and there, get enough. Because I think that's all he really needs to do, just kind of provide enough of a threat to open up the run game, don't you think? And then let Nick Chubb do the rest, and Sony Michel and Elijah Holyfield and all the other guys they got back there. But it doesn't seem like, because that's what Texas A&M went to with Nick Starkel. Basically, they realized Kellen Mond couldn't do that. Need to just get rid of the ball quick, get rid of it accurate, and then that's when they started gaining yardage. I mean, they kind of laid the blueprint a little bit offensively. They just didn't have the running backs, I think, to kind of make it consistent.
It's a lot like what Clemson did in the second half against Auburn, too.
Yeah.
They did a lot more quick passes, and they were able to run the ball effectively between those plays, and they're throwing 50-50 balls. And Jake Fromm has really done a good job with that. And also, I mean, Georgia's got some really good receivers. They're able to get 50-50 balls when they do throw it downfield. But to me, the key for Auburn is they've got to figure out a way to make Sony Michel and Nick Chubb slow down. They've got to hit them behind the line of scrimmage, tire them out. But the more and more I think about it, that's going to be so difficult because they have so many weapons in the backfield where if one guy's not working, they'll go to another. I mean, what was it? Goodness. 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
3 years?
Maybe 3 years ago at Georgia.
The game before. Yeah, the game before.
I don't know why my mind's drawing a blank here. Big time running back. He came back from injury, right? It was his coming back party. And he did okay, but then it was his backup that had the huge game against Auburn.
But wasn't Chubb the backup?
Lost. Say that again?
Wasn't Chubb the backup?
Chubb was the backup, so Nick Chubb had the big game.
Gurley was.
Yeah, Todd Gurley, of course.
Yeah,
Todd Gurley, who ended up replacing Trey Mason as the Rams running back.
Yeah, and Chubb was the freshman, and he had.
That's right. Chubb had the huge game in that one, and it was just like Auburn couldn't slow him down because they just could do whatever they wanted with either one of them.
It's amazing. Sony Michel and Nick Chubb were in that game.
Yeah,
4 years ago, you don't really see those backfields last.
And then it was
4 years.
And then it was like after that, a year or two later, you're going, this Chubb kid's pretty good, but Sony Michel might be better. And then you had people saying something about Nick Chubb compared to Todd Gurley near the end of that season. So
it's almost like a combination where they thought where Cam Petway and Kerryon Johnson would be this season almost, and that never materialized. Obviously, they're both on the threshold of 1,000-yard seasons. They also got that freshman DeAndre Swift, who's averaging 7 yards a carry. Elijah Holyfield's averaging 7 yards a carry.
Yeah, they've got
a pretty good depth.
They've got 4 running backs that get carries in every game.
Yeah,
4, and that's not counting Elijah Holyfield. That's really tough. Auburn's going to have to be like not only just slowing them down, but just getting so much pressure in the backfield that it forces Georgia to have to throw because they're in second and long, and third and long. That's going to be the key for Auburn, and it's going to be very difficult to do that. Even though Auburn's defensive line, I think, has the advantage against Georgia's offensive line, but the thing that would worry me for Auburn is that they've given up way too many big plays defensively the last couple weeks, even against Arkansas, and then especially against A&M.
Yeah.
When Starkle came in at quarterback for A&M, they hit some deep plays, and then that kind of continued throughout the game. Here and there, they'd hit a big play. The defense would step up, and then a big play would happen.
I don't know. I'm interested to see. A lot of the chatter around the team this week was urgency. And Auburn hasn't had a lot of urgency, and I just never feel like this team has that. I mean, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's. And Gus is such a sort of even keel, sort of downplaying everything that their backs are against the wall in this one. And I think they really need this one. And do you get that sense coming out of? They've kind of given lip service to it, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I think more than anything going into this week, the players maybe have the urgency built in themselves.
Yeah,
because you heard Kerryon Johnson talking the other day about how much he can't wait till Saturday. Like, I know I have to go to class today, and I have to go to practice this afternoon, but I want it to be Saturday already. Sometimes that's just got to be up to your leaders, but
I'm interested to see how they start the game. I guess and that's kind of
Gus Malzahn said on. I mean, they always start fast, except for the Texas A&M game. Weirdly enough, this year they have scored first against every opponent except for A&M, and they were slow to start even throughout that first quarter. But Gus Malzahn even said, listen, we're expecting a big time crowd, but he straight up said on his radio show Thursday night, but we have to give them something to cheer about early, and that's scoring points. So. I guarantee someone asked him about, what will you do if you win the toss? Just judging by his comments, he didn't say what he would do, but the way he was talking, he'd be like, give me the ball.
You think they'll go?
Give me the ball.
I think they've deferred every time they've had that.
Yeah, I think he wants the ball. He wants to score. I don't know. I get this feeling that they're going to be a little bit more aggressive and just, excuse the expression, balls to the wall. With this game, because I think Gus knows that this game is very important, not just for the season. Obviously, SEC title is still, within.
It goes beyond
eyesight,
just
but
the obvious.
Gus's job could be on the line with this game because there's no breathing room after this if he loses. Zero.
And he also broke major news that Malik Miller is one of the running backs.
He's one of the running backs.
He's one of our running backs.
He said that as a quote.
That might have been and then. He's also a guy, was the last time we talked about Malik Miller. He's one of our running backs.
He's one of the running backs.
Is a pretty great quote about Malik Miller.
Put that on a movie poster. This is a movie.
He's a guy. He's one of our running backs.
He is an actor in this movie.
True or false? Is he one of your running backs? True. But no, I'm interested to see just what the team's like and what their attitude's like, and do they have a kind of a sense of, like I said, they've talked about it, but I just don't know. Did you see it in the Clemson game? Not really. Did you see it in the LSU game?
My question is, how do they react if it's a close game?
Yeah.
In the late in the third quarter.
Well, coming out of halftime, that's kind of in these big games has been what do you expect in the second half, and it's been
and they've done well out of the second half of the last few games.
Mm-hmm. This is a bigger stage, though.
But it's much bigger stage, much better defense.
They usually get kind of weird.
But if you see repeats, I mean, if they lose the game, and also two, it's because of the same old, slow start in the second half, can't do anything in the second half. Writing's on the wall for Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, because the difference is coaching. I mean, that's all it is.
Right.
You got talent.
That's the missing piece that everybody will look at, and all the power brokers will be going, see, we told you.
Yeah.
But this is literally like one game can change everything.
Well, we were talking kind of not jokingly that the program in a matter of weeks could have no basketball coach, no football coach, and no AD. So that would be a fun stretch. But one question mark: what do you think the offensive line is going to look like Saturday?
That's a great question. I don't even know if the coaches know, to be quite honest, really.
Because they've got some options, and do they want to risk having to switch again? Do they want to go with what worked? I think they'll go with what.
I think they're going to work with what. I think they're going to go with what worked at A&M because
Tega, Harrell,
yes,
Dunn, Smith,
and
then Golson
yeah.
at right tackle.
I think that's what they'll do because
I don't think they want to have to switch.
Huh?
I don't think they want to have to switch.
Again?
Mid-game, yeah.
Oh goodness, no.
So I kind of agree that's what
I
they'll
think
do.
well that and Herb Hand likes to have his starting line out there on Tuesday.
Like he wants
based
to practice
off history.
with it. Yeah.
He doesn't like having to wait till there's no way. So Tuesday, and based off that, I think it'll probably be the same as A&M. If not, I think the only change would be Mike Horton.
What's funny is if you would have asked me before the season what the line would be going against Georgia, I maybe would have guessed I would have had Tega and Smith, but I wouldn't have had Golson at right tackle. Definitely wouldn't have had Dunn at center. You had Caleb Kim as the backup center, so you wouldn't have had it. And then Markel Harrell has come out of nowhere. That's, I guess, the real surprise. And maybe it's just injury with Horton, but it's been real surprising just how.
Horton and Darius both dealing with ankle injuries. They're said to be doing better, but we'll see. They better protect Jarrett Stidham, though. They cannot afford this to be, because what you saw early in that A&M game before they made the switch looked a lot like the Clemson game, didn't it? With them getting to the quarterback, they sacked him twice.
Holding on a little
he
longer.
Was holding on the ball. He was panicking a little bit. That you cannot. If that starts happening against Georgia, I don't know if any switch on the offensive line at this point is going to help that, because Georgia's defensive line is much better than A&M, and A&M's is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not discount that. They've done a pretty good job this year. But Georgia's is
and they had room for error,
and they've got linebackers that can fill those gaps.
They had room for error in that Texas A&M game, so you could go a quarter and say, "Well, we didn't play our best." I don't think you can give up 15-minute stretch in this game and keep pace with what Georgia's going to bring. I mean, this isn't that type of game where you could just say, "Oh, we'll see how it develops." I think you need to come out, kind of firing here.
Well, with that said, let's make our predictions. If you're an Auburn Undercover member, or actually they're free this week, of course, but if you did visit Auburn Undercover, you could have seen our predictions already.
Brandon, fearless forecaster, leader by a game.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We have been going back and forth, switching first place.
I predicted Auburn 28-24. Think it's going to be a tight game. Think it's going to be in the low 20s heading into the fourth quarter. And it's going to be whoever has that one big, I want to say semi-long drive, but like one of those drives that personifies what that offense is, either for Georgia or Auburn. And guess what that is? Running the football. Whoever's running the football very well in that fourth quarter and has a long drive, I think will end up winning it. And I got Auburn doing it. I think Georgia will probably be ahead in the fourth quarter, and Auburn has a touchdown drive, and the defense steps up and seals the victory. But this game, listen, Georgia's number one. They're undefeated. But I think the determining factor that will really have a lot of effect on this, believe it or not, are the fans. Yeah. Because Georgia played at Notre Dame, but Georgia apparently had like 20, 40,000 people there, like an enormous amount of people. This is going to be a lot different for the quarterback. But one way for Georgia to quiet the crowd quickly is a strong running game. And running game more than anything takes the air out of it.
Well, if they could run clock and just have 6-minute, 8-minute drive here or there, and that's a way to do it. I had Georgia 24 over Auburn 17. I think it's going to be defense is going to win the day, and then Georgia will just get enough offensively and be able to get a little more consistency. I think they're going to rely on Carrion, and maybe Carrion breaks a run or two and flips the script a little bit, but I don't know. And like I said, I just don't have confidence with this coaching staff. Head coach having lost basically every big game since 2014. Tough to kind of see, what Jarrett Stidham maybe is the only difference from those teams last year. And, we've seen them, what they did earlier this year, and it was kind of the same thing. So team's a little bit more mature, but LSU wasn't week one. That was 5 weeks into the season or whatever it was. So just have a tough time believing that they're going to pull this one out.
It's going to be interesting heading into this game and what Auburn's game plan is. They also can't, Gus also can't get to the point where he's so aggressive that he does a Clemson from last season and goes We're going to run
Right, but that's what
Chandler Cox.
that's the question mark, right? You
got to
don't
find
know
a medium
what you're going to get
somewhere.
in the sense, like, could he do something insane like Chandler Cox just as the quarterback for the whole game? Or, like, will he be too conservative? Can he find that balance?
Yeah.
You know, and he hasn't been able to do that because that Clemson game plan last year was insane.
Right.
And they had months to prepare for that one.
It showed to me that more than anything, they had no confidence in their quarterback.
Yeah, but then the Georgia game last year was obvious what was going on, and he didn't pull the trigger on it.
By the way, did you not? I had a little reaction there when Gus was speaking about like carry on's workload and how we know if he's tired because he tells us, and if he's injured, he tells us. That's exactly how you handled Sean White last season.
Yeah.
In the Georgia game, he's like, "No, I'm fine." Meanwhile, his arm is hanging on a thread, and you guys are like, go back in there. Go back in there."
Coaches should be watching and have an idea of what their players are doing,
especially when you have like one of the best like doctors on the planet on the sideline, and Dr. James Andrews.
Yeah. And so, but I'm saying that was obvious what was going on. They didn't make anything. So, and then LSU's second half this year, bizarre. So you just don't know what you're going to get with them.
But like you said, if they lose it the way they have lost it and have lost most of their games when they lose, that's coaching. It's not the talent. It's the coaching. It really is. So we're going to find out a lot about Gus Malzahn and this football program Saturday, folks. This is the game you've all been waiting for. I mean, everybody since the Clemson game's really been, we'll see what they do in November. And then especially after the LSU game, everybody goes, no breathing room now.
When he came out and said, we're healthy, and that was the difference, right?
Well, especially at quarterback.
And a quarterback. But he also said healthy in general, too, because they were banged up last year, running back and quarterback. But when you say that right up front, you know that there's no room for error.
No excuses, even though it's the number one team in the country. All right, let's move ahead. Basketball is just something new every day. Now, while we were at Texas A&M, we started hearing rumors and such about Bruce Pearl and things that were going on behind the scenes. ESPN reported Wednesday that Bruce Pearl was refusing to cooperate with the internal investigation at Auburn, not the FBI investigation, but the internal investigation that's being handled by Lightfoot, Franklin, and White, the law firm in Birmingham. And my understanding is Bruce Pearl has a lawyer, and lawyers pretty much straight up told him, no, don't talk to them until this FBI investigation's completed. And what I've heard is that, one, the report's true to a certain extent, and that Bruce is refusing to speak in these interviews to Auburn. I don't know if a timeline's been set, like you have until now to tell us, talk to us. But there is some pressure there, and both sides are not happy. Auburn and Pearl, there's kind of two camps right now. I did hear Thursday that things may have been patched up a little bit, but that still doesn't deny or the fact that Bruce does not want to talk to them and answer their questions. Now, and I'll push it over to you here in a second. Now, my understanding is this internal investigation, how it should be handled, is that their questions should be limited to Chuck Person and also the eligibility of the two players, not past things or what's going on with this,
it's not
or
a searching
whatever.
Expedition, essentially.
Now, the issue there with that is that could throw a wrench in the gears, is that Auburn asked for the laptops and cell phones of all the coaches, everybody involved with basketball, almost immediately after Chuck Person was arrested. So what is stopping Auburn, theoretically, from seeing something and going, Bruce, what's this? Well,
but ESPN reported in that report was that the FBI seized all that stuff.
Right.
So there's some discrepancy as about who has what. And
I don't know about the FBI stuff, but I know that Auburn asked for it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
right.
ESPN's reporting that they are pushing to get him to answer questions because the FBI, one of the reasons is because they have all that material so they can have access to it. So there's we don't know that yet,
and we don't know what's that involves.
That's a detail that's not going to probably get confirmed because that's very specific about the investigation,
right?
And nobody's going to want to talk.
But Bruce doesn't seem to be in a good spot right now, Mike.
Well, I mean, I had
whether you want to be on his side or not, as a fan, he's putting himself in a bad spot, I would think.
Well, leading up to the decision, Rich McGlynn was at practice multiple days. And they were
McGlynn, the compliance
director. And they were having animated discussions about all the ongoing things. And I have heard rumblings that no one is on the coaching staff is thrilled with kind of how this is developed and how this was handled. And we've kind of talked from the beginning that the athletic department has really thrown Bruce to the wolves, essentially.
Since the beginning. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
No sort of direction. Jay Jacobs hasn't talked, and obviously he's on the way out, but nobody from the athletic department for the president's office has sort of kind of directed what's going on, directed kind of the media response. And there's been discrepancies about how things are playing out from hour to hour. You ask about tickets and you ask about this and that, and no camp is talking to each other essentially. And it's a strange vibe because you essentially have the basketball program dealing with this and the athletic department kind of separate, and nobody's kind of talking to each other. And Jay Jacobs on his way out is nowhere, obviously now nowhere to be found, but now who's running kind of the show? Is it just compliance it's
compliance and Stephen Leith?
And the compliance stuff is basically about Austin and D'Angelo, but so is Stephen Leith taking a hands-on? Is he directing this? The strange thing to me is the timeline. This happened. Chuck Person was arrested September 26th. Why now is there pressure? Why did they wait a month and a half to sort of decide Bruce Pearl needs to answer these questions now when the opener's on Friday? This happens on Wednesday. What were they doing for the 35 days in between?
Also,
very strange. That's one of the more stranger aspects.
And why are they holding his feet to the fire at this time? Why aren't they?
What changed?
Holding his feet to the fire then? Also,
was Lightfoot too busy investigating softball for 30 days?
I don't know.
I mean, just very strange, right?
Also, what? Yeah, I don't know how this story got to ESPN, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to question reporting or anything like that because I know it's true. At least most of that report's true. But the timing of it being leaked with the season coming around, someone in the athletics,
someone has an agenda.
Someone has an agenda. Yes, that's what I'm trying to get to.
I don't think that's.
I wouldn't say an axe to grind, but someone has an agenda.
A specific agenda. What that agenda is, we don't know. But I mean, when you leak
it, it looks like, in my opinion, and
48 hours before tip-off,
it looks like someone trying to make Bruce talk by going, hey, I know you got the season. They're putting all the pressure.
Look bad, or who knows? Because
I don't know.
He does not. I mean,
why would you want your head coach to look bad when this is already looking bad with Chuck Person?
Why would you?
And
want
the season starting, and you want the players to be focused.
On the flip side, and I know you kind of followed up. We've asked the university for.
It's ridiculous what they're doing,
and they are just letting it. Look, because it's not. We're not asking about the FBI investigation, and they are couching everything and saying, it's the FBI invest. Look, the FBI does not care about the compliance. FBI doesn't care about Austin.
Well, look what happened in Alabama today with Colin Sexton.
Yeah,
they've been in constant communication with the NCAA. They're not worried about the FBI stuff.
No, it's separate. And so, but Auburn's saying, well, look, it's the investigation, so we can't comment, and are essentially leaving Bruce hanging in the wind.
Right. Well, and they're leaving the kids hanging in the wind, and
the kids are. I mean, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing.
But
that's a separate component to it.
But you mentioned the university side. I mean, listen, the only people that are willing to speak on this, and they haven't really spoke on it, is the president's office, and they always fall back on that. Well, it's a federal investigation. We're not going to comment on that.
But we're not asking.
And then I even follow up with, I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking of the internal investigation, which you've hired someone. And it's very public now that Bruce Pearl's being asked to talk, and he's not talking.
Because he's not asking, like you said, it's not FBI agents.
I was like, does the president support Bruce Pearl going in this season? And they have no real response. I mean, what kind of response is that? Where you can't even say, yeah, we support the coach going into this?
Yeah,
when they said at the beginning, and by the way, Stephen Leith said to the student paper in the beginning of this seems like to him
An isolated
incident
I
with
don't know
one
if
coach.
I don't think he said supported, but
He didn't
said
support him.
but
he said it was an isolated incident.
But I don't understand.
And now all of a sudden, we're not going to comment on that.
There's no reason they can't say we have confidence in Bruce Pearl going forward. That would have nothing to do with the FBI.
We have full confidence in him going forward in the
in
cooperation of our investigation.
And we are happy with how things are progressing, or whatever. But
the only person who said that is Bruce. It's like we're trying to get this all done and everything, but Bruce wants it done one way and Auburn wants it done another, and usually the university wins in that situation.
I don't know where this goes because regardless if it all gets figured out, that's a fractured relationship.
Well, once you put the word "fired" into the media, there's no going back.
In 1 to 2 weeks, in a timeline, 1 to 2.
There's no going back from that.
Flip side, I think you touched on this in your.
I don't know
in your story. How would they go forward with the season with who would coach this team? Stephen Pearl's not coaching. No. Chad Pruitt's, I guess, your best option on the staff, but I mean, he's not going to get it. You'd have to bring somebody from the outside. I
think you would get a retired coach or someone who's.
But I'm just saying that puts another wrinkle into it, right? Because they literally have nobody on staff capable of.
That's why I think this whole thing's silly.
Because you have no backup options. So why would you threaten him?
Why are you threatening him unless you have an idea already? Which there's no freaking way they do. No way. There's no way they know who would be the coach.
Right.
I mean, Chuck Person?
Right. No. He was the most experienced person.
What are you going to do? I mean, this whole thing is just, it's crazy.
Is this now becoming as bizarre of a sort of coaching thing that you've seen, just kind of now that this is how this is transpiring?
Well, Sonny Galloway used to work here.
That's true.
No, but in the public forum before a season starts?
Right, the season starts?
I mean, listen. Not as many people care about basketball as football, obviously. Right. It's just as nature of the beast in the SEC. But could you imagine this happening with like Gus Malzahn 2 days before kickoff?
Or say John Calipari, or so a higher profile.
Or John Calipari.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but anyway, I say that to say this. This is very serious, folks. Like you really need to be paying attention to this. Because this is already interesting. But you get very interesting in the next couple of weeks because the report is, and it has been also with AL.com saying that he's on thin ice, and Kevin Skarbinski knows his people that that he might be fired for not talking.
And then you have the players who are still out.
Yeah.
And no timeline for
and meanwhile, that, and then you've also got Bruce Pearl telling them all, don't worry about any of this. I'm fine. We're going to play a game. They're 18 years old. They're sitting there going, what the hell's going on?
This isn't a veteran-laden team. They've got no seniors. They're all freshmen and sophomores and young kids.
And I'm sure Austin Wiley and D'Angelo Purifoy are sitting there, as D'Angelo Purifoy tweeted out after the exhibition game, BS. They're frustrated. I'm sure they're talking to their teammates about how frustrated they are, and I'm sure that's permeating through them. And then you have this uncertainty, and they're hearing these things about their coach. And then Bruce Pearl goes on the radio later after the press conference and said, I'm
bizarre.
sorry.
I mean, that was
the self-inflicted wounds
was bizarre. Like, what are you talking about?
Why are you saying self-inflicted?
Why are you saying self-inflicted? It's Chuck Person that inflicted it. You should be saying there was a bad egg and, there was a mistake. Or say, I didn't want to hire him, but Jay Jacobs hired him because he's leaving anyway. Do something. And to not say that he had a press conference. If you didn't know, he had a press conference at 11:15 today, Thursday, which is today for us, maybe yesterday for anybody listening, and said couldn't talk about it, won't talk about it, asked about his relationship, asked about this, and just kept saying can't talk about it. Then he goes on, he's on 5 minutes on Tiger Talk, and just like, and Rod Bramlett, the host, is like, I'm not going to ask you about this, but like, how are the players handling everything? And then he goes on this sort of apology thing. I don't understand. I didn't understand.
It's almost like Bruce thought he was in an auditorium speaking to fans, and it wasn't.
And I get it. He's selling he's part of that is salesmanship, but
the wording could have been different.
Strange, because self-inflicted means
I did this.
You were partly responsible.
So, any word on Austin Wiley or D'Angelo Purifoy?
No, and I don't.
What's going to happen there? What is happening?
Well,
is Bruce Pearl holding it up by not talking?
I don't think so, but it'd be difficult to envision. So right now, and if you don't, they are not ineligible, but they're not eligible. So Auburn's declining to certify their eligibility at this point because of the allegations made in the report. With Colin Sexton, he was ruled ineligible. They applied for reinstatement, and then the penalty was a game suspension. If there was wrongdoing, the NCAA has to determine that. So they're not even at that step.
Yeah, to be quite honest, when a player is ruled ineligible, an end game will come about much more quickly. It happened with Cam Newton. Like he was ruled ineligible or whatever for like a day,
right,
and then they put him back.
Right.
Colin Sexton, same thing.
Right.
They figured something out, suspended one game. So the fact that they
ruled
ineligible,
the only way they can play immediately at this point is if Auburn says we're certifying them they're eligible,
right?
And then just say we didn't find anything, we don't think there is,
and
anything.
That could literally come at any minute,
right? That could happen
one way or the other.
But I mean, we're going on now 40 days, 50 days from when this all started. So something's there's.
Yeah.
And look, they have a federal affidavit that says money was exchanged hands, and so that's an issue. That's a significant issue. Yeah. That's a significant issue.
Yes.
And the penalties are stricter, are not great, and so.
And the other side of the story is, what's Chuck Person doing right now with his lawyers now that they're able to start working on a deal possibly with the feds now that the indictment's been handed down.
6 federal counts.
So no one knows, and no one will know until.
I would find it hard to imagine that Auburn will just declare them eligible. I think they're going to have to try to apply for reinstatement to cover their bases.
Well, sure, yeah.
So, and then that's the next step. And if we're not there yet, it's going to be a while. And how long does Austin and D'Angelo wait? That's the other kind of flip side to it.
Do you think they would leave?
I talked to Austin's high school coach, and he said, "Why wouldn't you go to overseas, make some money? If it's not looking like you're going to play by December, what's the benefit to sticking around?"
That would be bad.
And you got Pearl to leave too. That would be, I mean, that's the other
seriously,
part of it.
If that happens, all right, listen, this is all worst case, but it's on the table. It could happen. Bruce Pearl leaves or gets fired. Your 2 of your 3 best players are out for the year. Do you just go ahead and start planting peas? As they said, what was it, a year ago? Jay Jacobs said, if Bruce Pearl can't get this thing done, we might as well just tear it down and start planting peas. How does Auburn recover from that?
I mean, look, they lost to Barry in exhibition. They lose to Norfolk State for tomorrow or Friday today.
I don't know. I just don't know. I'm not predicting anything, but
you could see it was affecting the kids last week, and they're trying to say it's not. Now, add this on top of all the other stuff.
Yeah,
that's tough. These
tough.
are 18-year-old kids. How do you not think about it?
Well, yeah,
they've already lost one assistant coach that a lot of these kids are close to.
Right, and how do you not start thinking about your own well-being and yourself?
That's what I'm saying. It's like you kind of
You're
looking around.
That's what happens naturally as a human. When things start going bad, you don't go, "Hey, how's everybody else doing?" You're thinking, "Well, what's going to happen to me?"
Especially when these kids aren't seniors, so their next step isn't. They've got a future that they could try to think about too.
Right?
So.
Yeah, they could think of. Yeah.
We'll
see. Auburn needs to figure it out.
Well, we talked about increasing our basketball coverage, not what we had in mind.
No.
For the season.
What we had in mind was we're increasing basketball coverage because this team was going to the NCAA tournament. And now this team might not exist. Well, I mean, not that far. I mean, they'll just stop it, plant the piece. But I just...
amazing.
I don't know.
2 months ago... it's just amazing what in 2 months.
I just remember when Bruce Pearl was hired. I talked to several people when he was hired, and everybody's like, "Yeah, he's great and all this." And I had one person tell me, "This is going to end so badly. You have no idea." And I said, "Well, yeah, because what happened in Tennessee." And the guy's like, "No, seriously."
And I call that guy up.
Something's going to happen.
You're right.
But who knows? Maybe things get turned around. Maybe legitimately here, there's no freaking way to predict what's going to happen next.
Well, because you got the AD on top of it. Who comes in? What do they want to do? How do they take reins of the situation? When does that happen? Then that's a good segue here. What is going on with Jay Jacobs and the AD search?
What is going on? What is it?
That June 1st date can't get here soon enough for some people.
Dude, I bet he's just sitting there going, God, get me out of here.
How are those interviews going to go when you have all this stuff going
on?
on?
Listen, like we mentioned, you have some crises you've got to deal with, and then after that, you can build your a big SEC program.
But you don't get the scoreboard, right?
No, in fact, I'm pretty certain whoever the new AD is going to be looking at renovation and expansion of Jordan-Hare Stadium instead of just putting a broken-ass TV on top of the
That was like the dumbest thing ever when they clearly didn't want that.
It's so stupid.
And we're going to throw
it's the dumbest thing. And listen, the Board of Trustees usually just goes rubber stamp, rubber stamp.
They made that was a good decision they made today.
Well, yeah. In September, they were questioning. I'm like, why? What happened to that big thing you came here a year ago with us about renovating and adding new seating and tearing down that end zone? What's up with this? You're just going to put TV on top of it? I mean,
that we can't move. That would cost millions of dollars to change if we wanted to change it later.
Ridiculous. So, and then today or Thursday, the president, pretty much just hearing some of the board in their workshop, just literally took a piece of paper with the agenda items and put an X through it for the video board.
That's what he did?
Yeah, it's just we're not doing that. He heard it and he heard enough. He knew what was going to happen.
Yeah,
and he just. Not happening. We're not even
going
to discuss it.
So is there anything on the agenda for tomorrow then?
Yes, like I think the locker room stuff and some of the other things still have some final approval type stuff. Yeah. But my question is, by the time everybody listens to this, it might be old news. We'll see. But the reason why I'm going is one, to see if I can talk to Stephen Leith. Two, do they discuss the formation of committee for the athletics director to search, and also just hear what the board has to say. Maybe that they might question Stephen Leith about how's your process going with the athletics director search and all that. What's going on in basketball?
Yeah,
but a lot of that there might be. I'm sure there'll be an executive session and things will be discussed behind closed doors. We won't hear about it. But tomorrow could be interesting. Would have been more interesting if Jay Jacobs hadn't resigned or
is
retired.
Is he expected to be there still? Or
he's
no?
On the agenda is set to speak with Dan King, who's always like the facility manager and all that stuff. I'm sure he'll be there because my understanding is they're pretty much going to be like singing Jay Jacobs' praises.
Oh, saying goodbye,
saying goodbye. Thank you, thank you for your service.
We wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors.
Right. Athletic director.
Do you think Gus will speak and wish him another heartfelt farewell?
Gus probably doesn't know even where the Auburn University Hotel is, let alone that there's a Board of Trustees meeting.
So, but search-wise, where do you think no further, no chatter?
Well, I'll get to one thing. One AD followed me on Twitter out of nowhere.
Who was that?
I can't say, but if you guys want to go investigate.
Well, now I'm going to go investigate.
Don't say it on the podcast.
All right.
I don't know.
Dun, dun.
But, no, as far as like actual candidates, I haven't heard anything new there. Other than what I reported, I think in three things I know, where some Auburn folks believe that David Benedict is like one of the leaders in there. But then I was told also by some folks, no way. But my understanding is a lot of people that currently work in the athletics department. No.
Wasn't that one of them though?
Maybe. Yes, that's one of them. Anyway, so some people in the athletics department didn't like David Benedict, and I don't think they'd want to work for him.
That's interesting.
But here's the thing. I mean, to be quite honest, if you're listening to this and you work in the athletics department, whoever the new AD is, unless it's probably your best friend, is probably going to come in and clean house. Because that's what happens when new ADs come in, unless it's from someone within those closed doors already working there. That just happens. They come in, they clean house, they bring in their own people. They get rid of the redundancies. But apparently Auburn is forming a search committee for this. AL.com reported this first, that former women's golf coach Kim Evans is on the search committee which is being formed. We'll see Friday if we hear more about it at the Board of Trustees meeting. But my understanding, based off what I've been told, is that Kim Evans is actually going to be the representative for the athletics department on the search committee, which leads me to believe that you're not going to see maybe anybody else with athletics with connections to the current athletics department on the committee other than Kim Evans. And Kim Evans, a former coach, retired 2 years ago, or actually less than 2 years ago now, the spring of 2015. And actually, no, that was more than 2 years ago. What am I thinking? 2017. And went into a different position at the university. So it'll be interesting to see who Stephen Leith and others select on this committee, what their role will be. My guess is, they call it a search committee, but they're not actually doing the searching, the legwork. They'll bring the people in that they want to interview, and they'll interview them. And they'll
did they have a search committee last time for when they hired Jay?
For AD?
Yeah.
I wasn't here. I don't know. I don't remember. But, I mean, they did look outside a little bit, and then they went to Jay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were against that. But that was the Auburn way. And the thing I keep hearing from people, Auburn fans, people associated with Auburn even, are saying they need to get someone outside of Auburn without ties and turn this damn thing around.
Do you think they will do that, though?
They need to. Will they do it? I don't know. It depends. Depends on what Stephen Leith and who he's listening to, and then also what the influence is of the search committee. And as I said, the only person I know that's on the search committee that's being formed is Kim Evans. And I think that's a great addition because she knows Auburn, obviously, but she's not, directly involved with the department
I think
all that stuff right now.
As many female voices, especially with some of the stuff that went on the softball program, would be appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. Because whoever wants this job or who they target for the job, they're going to have their own questions about what's going on with the Title IX investigation. How was this allowed? What were the points of buffer in which that were completely failed you in this system during the softball ordeal? Why do you have 2 federal lawsuits right now being filed against you with the track program, with the former assistant, and Sonny Galloway, And then the Title IX investigation, as I just mentioned, with softball and basketball, the FBI investigation. I mean, this is all things that have happened with less than 6 months. I mean, it's nuts.
That is crazy.
That doesn't happen in a tenure of a AD in 10 years sometimes. And this has happened in the last 6 months.
Throw a Gus loss on top of that.
Oh,
just gets
God.
even crazier.
Oh, my God. Sunday could be the worst. It really could. It could be the worst.
Do you just think they lock the doors on the athletic building
all right.
and
Here's
nobody's
what
allowed
we'll
back
say.
in?
All right, Mike. All right. Basketball loses Norfolk State. Football loses to Georgia. Does Auburn exist when we wake up Sunday morning?
No.
Because so many people will be upset. And I'm not just saying that to upset Auburn fans. I'm just saying, listen, you guys would be upset. Fans would be really upset.
I think fans are good. This one's going to be tough if they lose this Georgia game.
Yes. Well, it'll be.
Not that they're not tough if any year, but I'm just saying that it would not be fun.
Here's the other thing I was thinking about. What if, all right, they lose to Georgia, beat ULM. Then what if they beat Bama, but they can't go to the SEC championship because they lost to Georgia?
Yeah.
Would that be like the most irritating great win in Auburn history?
And then Bama wins the SEC championship and then gets in the playoff.
Yeah. How irritating would that be?
That would be rough.
You beat your rival finally. Gus maybe sticks around for another year, but you don't make the SEC championship game because you lost to Georgia the week prior, and then Bama beats Georgia. I mean, all this stuff's possible, but it's also possible Auburn wins out. It's also possible Auburn loses both these games.
And you're not saying it's possible ULM pulls the upset?
No.
Okay.
ULM,
so that's not possible.
ULM might as well just ask, hey, can we just take half the money you're going to offer us and not show up so we can get a bye week?
Not come.
And I'm sure fans are thinking that too. Like, were we really going to show up to this game?
Hey, Malik Miller's viewing that game as his breakout party.
Well, he should, and he probably would have like a 200-yard game if they gave him like all the carries against ULM. But, whatever. What do I know? We'll ride Kerryon Johnson to that sun sets. But, we'll see. Goodness gracious. Never quiet. A lot of recruits will be on campus this weekend, too. Keith Niebuhr of Auburn Undercover have you covered there. I was looking at, you talk about predictions. I gathered 50-plus predictions for the national media. It's more than double, 2-1, Georgia over Auburn, as you'd expect. There were quite a few quote unquote big names in the national media are picking Auburn.
Has the line changed at all?
No, it was 4 or 5 hours ago. It was still at 2.5 via consensus on
That's about right.
Vegas
That's
Insider.
Makes sense where everything's at.
Yeah, you would think that'd be like a touchdown favorite on a neutral field because home team gets like 3 points, a little bit, 4 points. I don't know, but anyway. So anything else?
Hoping for a good football game.
I hope so too. We'll see. It should be. There's so many top 10 games this week.
It's a crazy week.
There's going to be some upsets. Playoff rankings are going to look a little bit different.
Yeah.
Tuesday. But I think Auburn's got the best shot out of all these top 10 matchups, to be quite honest.
Miami has a good shot at home.
Oh, yeah, sure. Notre Dame at Miami, yeah. Yeah.
They played pretty well.
But they've played, Miami's done great this year, but like it's just
under the radar a little bit.
But they haven't been like you watch it, not too impressive. The most impressive was actually this past weekend when they beat Virginia Tech by 18?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that game would be because all their games have been close. Florida State, they had to win in the final seconds and all that. And Florida State's just garbage this year. But I don't know. Anything happening in the real world?
Did we get any reader questions? I thought we.
Oh yeah, we got to do listener questions. I don't think we got a lot. I don't think people care.
It was late notice, 10 o'clock on a Thursday.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I tweeted it out on the 9-something. That question we just answered already.
Not appropriate?
Not appropriate. It just doesn't make sense for us.
Hmm.
Will asks, why do they have Braille on the drive-up ATMs?
Tricky question.
That is a tricky question because why would a blind person be driving?
Probably it's federal regulation. It's standard.
Probably. It's probably standard, obviously, on the stand-up ATM, so they put them on that anyway because it's already designed that way.
Or some blind people can have fun.
You know what? I should go wake up my wife right now because she used to work in banking for 10 years.
Honey!
Why is this going on?
I have an emergency!
She's like, I don't
Why do they have Braille on ATMs?
That's a weird question. I don't know. Isn't it? Man, now you got my brain. I'm going to Google that later.
That's a teaser.
Posted a topic on the message board 72 minutes ago asking for questions. No one responded.
Well, everybody hates us, so.
Everybody hates us.
Especially me this week. That's cool.
Christian asks, why does Auburn employ Sal Cannella on the 4 wide receiver sets versus Marquise McLean, who was the hottest receiver in preseason camp, according to Christian?
Is this the same person that keeps citing
I
his
don't know.
hot preseason camp, or is it like 3 people now that have asked about his?
What other receivers does Auburn have other than Cannella, who is a tight end / wide receiver? 0. Marquise McLean, as I've said, if you haven't seen him a lot yet, you're not going to see him a lot this season.
We're seeing a lot blocking in the goal line package.
Right. So that's his role.
That is his role.
Sal Cannella's role is diminished quite considerably, as we mentioned in our snap counts. He had 8 snaps against Texas A&M, was thrown to once, and nothing happened. So he played.
He dropped it, didn't he? I thought he taught.
Did he drop it?
I thought he had his hands on it.
Nothing happened. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. 8 snaps.
It's not a lot of snaps.
Not a lot of snaps from a guy they're expecting to maybe play 40 snaps or more. Dexter asked...
The more interesting number was, though, what would you say? Nate Craig had 57 snaps?
54, 57, yeah.
It was not targeted one time.
Yeah. He's a heck of a blocker. He celebrates the end zone, as,
He's a good blocker. He celebrates, yeah.
Mr. Chip Lindsey would say. Dexter Thompson asked, will Jarrett Stidham have over or under 25 pass attempts against Georgia? I'm going to say under 25.
25. I'm going to say over.
Really? I think he's going to have 22, 23.
It's a good number to set. It's a good betting line.
But if they get behind, obviously that'll go up. He'll have to throw. If he can throw, if he gets time in the pocket. Who knows?
Well, guess we'll have to find out.
Guess we'll just have to find out. Let's see if we have any other questions. Probably not. I think everybody's just tired. I don't think I think everybody's just sitting back like, God, what's going to happen next? And just let me get to the game Saturday and watch that and decide whether to be happy or not.
Well, I guess so. Is Bruce going to be rooting for Georgia to try to get the attention off of him? Because that would be the best thing that could happen for the basketball
For Bruce?
Right?
I don't think anything matters.
You don't think
for Bruce?
Nothing matters.
I think Bruce cooperating would be the best thing he can do. But people will tell you that Bruce is in the right. And he might be in the right.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean,
but it really is hard to say. But the bad thing is for him, like I said, universities usually went out in these type of situations. When a coach stands up.
And I haven't reviewed the language of it, but I thought when it's a compliance issue that a coach has to talk because it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like they're compelled to answer questions about their own compliance. I mean, and this is extenuating circumstances because the FBI is investigating separately.
That'd be a good story to do.
It would.
To see what exactly a coach is supposed to do.
Or what they have to do. But is it null and void with a third party because it's a law firm and not the compliance department? I mean, like, but that's the question she has. It's like, there's so many layers to it because it's not.
I've never had a lawyer, so I don't know how. I mean, it must be good to have like a lawyer. You ever think about that? You have people advising you. I've been advised not to speak on that. I've been advised to stand my ground. I feel good.
Well,
I'm
this
not worried.
situation is employing a lot of lawyers across the country.
Oh, absolutely.
I've talked to a couple that don't want to talk about it because I think they're working for other schools.
I'm sure they are.
Helping review, because even if their programs are not tied up in this, a lot of programs are hiring firms to make sure there's nothing around the corner.
Yeah. Well, you know who would clean all this up?
Shazam.
Athletics director Tommy Tuberville.
Do you think his campaign's going to work?
No.
Does he know that it's not a governor's race? Like, does he know
Tommy's been
he can't do like
for a lot
a feeling out process? And
I'll tell you this: I should have put a poll up, but man, the response on Twitter and like even the message board to a certain extent, it's been like overly positive. Like, yeah, make him the AD. But
do you think he said
zero experience?
Did he say he was the most qualified person for the
That's
job?
what he said.
That was the quote.
Yeah.
Do you think he's the most qualified person for the job?
No, that'd be like me saying I'm the most qualified person to coach a football team because I've been covering football.
Right.
That makes no sense.
But usually when you're campaigning for something, that's not a good sign.
And I love Tommy Tuberville. So if he's listening to this, I'm not talking down to you, Tommy.
But no, I'm just saying
don't
in general,
delete me from your phone.
Campaigning for something never is generally...
No, it's not. That never usually works unless you're Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze did that at Ole Miss. Remember that whole thing where he tried to send a text?
We'll talk about things that ended badly.
That didn't work. We tried to text Archie Manning, and it was an old phone number for him, and it went to someone else, and the Times-Picayune found out about it.
That's pretty amazing.
And he was like, yeah, I want to be your coach, and all that. Well, he ended up getting the job, though. I've been told by someone who knows that Stephen Leith would not seriously consider Tommy Tuberville.
He's not the type of candidate this program needs right now.
No.
The end of sentence.
No, and nor is he fully qualified for it. He'd be a great fundraiser. Put him in Tigers. Put him in Tigers Unlimited or something.
There's programs that could use a figurehead like that and just use it for that and have
absolutely.
This is not the moment or the place right now that they need somebody that has very detailed knowledge of every nook and cranny of rule books and regulations.
I mean, whatever. Tommy thought he could be governor because Donald Trump became president.
I think he's more qualified to be governor.
Because he's like, hey, people love personalities.
More qualified to be governor than the athletic director at Auburn.
You think?
I think so.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't want to get into Alabama politics because it's a mess right now.
Yeah, you want to?
No, I'm good.
Oh, jeez.
I'm good.
Let's
not make this a political talk show. But it's never quiet there either in the State House.
Well, it's never quiet anywhere.
And it's never quiet at Auburn.
The news has been insane.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, anyway. So Auburn fans, you might be elated or very disappointed down the dumps this weekend, but that's what makes sports great.
Does it?
Really? Think of it. You can be really, really happy or really, really sad. And for me, next week, that could happen too with Justice League. I could be really happy or I could be extremely sad and in the dumps. And I'll tell you one thing. You are probably more likely to be happy than I am to be happy next week.
I watched a clip. I don't watch it with the sound on. Did you see the one in the sewer where they fire a missile at the villain? Sewer.
Oh, they're fighting Steppenwolf or whatever.
And it looks like it. I don't even have the words to fully articulate how bad it looks.
What looks bad? Like just everything, or
yeah, everything.
Okay, yeah.
The special effects, the filter, the
filter,
composition, the choice of villain, the choice of casting.
I think the villain's fine, but
it's terrible. All CGI villain was not the way to go, or at least not the main villain.
Yeah, I agree with that, though. Yeah, they should have went. Yeah, they should have mixed the two. Maybe you could do that with that character.
Or you could, but I mean, the idea was, I thought, when Batman vs Superman, was to have Lex Luthor sort of the face and then sort of something else. But that, I guess, was the same thing with Doomsday. But it just wasn't the way to go.
No,
you got to ground it.
I doubt Steppenwolf's in the movie very much, though. Probably till the end or whatever.
No,
I'm sure it's just going to be. I don't know.
When's the
apparently the early feedback on it's more positive than.
But those are just fans. That's what fans said about Batman.
No, some of the other people I follow that aren't, fans of that stuff.
I am going to guess that the reviews
good.
Are going to eviscerate it.
Eviscerate it?
Yes.
I think it'll be like in the middle. I don't think it'll be a fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, but I think it'll be like 50%.
I think it's not even going to get 20%.
You know, 20%?
I think it's like
Batman v Superman even got over 20%. That movie was trash.
It looks like gobbledygook.
Gobbledygook?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't know.
A villain named Steppenwolf is not going to be widely
accepted. What they're really trying to sell the movie on is that Superman's going to show back up, but you don't know how yet.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Nah, it's not.
He's in the posters. Most of them.
Yeah, but you don't know how and what he'll do in the movie.
What do you think he's going to do? What do you think he's going to do? Murder everybody? That would actually be interesting.
Snap everybody's necks one by one. Have them line up.
That would be if I'll tell you what. There's only two scenarios I'll see the movie. One, you come out of the movie and you tell me Superman's mustache is in it, but only for certain scenes that they reshot. I will go see. I will go that moment. Pay my money to see it. I will pay my money to see it right away.
I know you're not going to see it anyway because you didn't see Wonder Woman.
The second scenario is if you come out and you tell me Superman came back, killed the villain, and then decided nobody lives and just murders everybody. I'll again go see it.
They do a cheesy reverse Superman original movie, and he spins the Earth around or whatever, and it falls off its axis, and everybody dies.
That'd be good, and I would see it then.
And then he just stands above Earth and goes, and then flies
And if he
away.
does it with a mustache, I mean, yeah. I'll see it twice in a row.
I really want to see the mustache thing now because I read about what they did to his mustache.
Yeah.
They waxed it to get it above his lip line, and then they put dots all over his face. So that mustache looks very greasy and weird. That'd be amazing to see. That'd be so amazing to see.
Millions. Think about this. Think about how much money they cost.
Oh, I think I read somewhere today that it's $300 million.
Well, the movie, the budget in general was insane. But I'm just saying the
total after reshoots was $300 million.
The budget for removing his mustache is more money than you'll make in your entire lifetime.
Duh.
That's insane.
For a mustache, for hair
a mustache
on a lip.
That should have been in the movie in the first place.
One day, maybe when we're all dead,
the mustache
there will be a vault that's opened up, and someone is going to release that on you hologram.
Just dreadful. And two directors. I mean, that's the problem too.
It's going to be mixed and it's going to be awful.
It's going to have two directors.
Well, I showed you that one clip where
wildly incompatible.
Well, yeah, I showed you that one clip where it's Bruce Wayne talking to Aquaman, and they literally reshot one line of Bruce Wayne, and it's Ben Affleck 20 pounds heavier and just his face is
Have you
bloated.
seen shots of him promoting the movie?
No.
He just looks like a man that's defeated.
Well, I did see an interview with him. It was like 10-second clip. And someone goes, "So you're on for 2 more Batmans?" And he went, "Nah, I don't know about that."
Hard. He's like,
he
hard
straight up
pass.
said, "Like I don't know."
That's always a good sign when you're like when you have a contract. You're like, my lawyers are working.
Well,
on
that and I don't think Matt Reeves wants him for his movie either. And I think that's been communicated.
That's going to be a dumpster fire.
The only way, I mean, who knows what DC is going to do is they're just going to do individual movies if this one doesn't work. I think if they do continue the universe, they'll reset a lot of the stuff. They'll reset whatever they want in Flashpoint, but they will not make that.
When this is done, just make your Wonder Woman trilogy and just do whatever you want. There's no reason to do a shared universe.
You haven't even seen Wonder Woman.
But did you see they're retconning now? She like the verbal gymnastics they're doing about that. It's just
Zack Snyder screwed that up.
Amazing.
But the movie makes up for it, man. The movie's so good.
Yeah, but I mean,
I wanted to feel better today.
But in their timeline, basically, World War II is her fault.
No,
because she could have easily killed Hitler, and she just was like,
in World War One, no,
in World War II, like World War II starts, she comes in, she's like, I'm obviously much more powerful than all of you, kills everybody, saves the day. But instead, she's like, humanity's not worth it. You can all just die.
I don't know. She may have just gone back to.
But that's what they set up, right? That she was in hiding because she didn't think humanity was worth it.
Yeah,
but then they said
that's what they're saying. But they're saying that's not the case anymore,
right? Because they've changed their mind. That's way too dark.
Because
you can't have somebody living in World War II and not be like, I should probably step in and help out.
Well, they can easily explain that away by saying she was on Themyscira and she had no idea and didn't want to go back.
She just didn't get the news.
Yeah, she got the news. Well, they
didn't deliver the paper. I don't
seriously.
know what to say.
I mean, they're out there. They're all by themselves. Maybe she went back and just said, "I ended the greatest war," as they call it. You haven't even seen the movie. You know, they're all going, of course, this is the greatest war and all that. And she's like, if I kill Ares, there will never be any wars anymore.
So you're saying
she kills Ares. Spoiler alert.
She's just dumb and thinks that she's saved
naive
the day.
About the real world because she hadn't been in the real world ever until that moment.
Maybe she needs to get some street smarts. Maybe that's the second movie.
She does a little bit in the movie.
Like the episode 7 of Stranger Things. She meets a down on their luck crew of that
are living in the Ninja Turtles lair.
Yeah, they're living in the Ninja Turtles lair, and one's got a mohawk, and they laugh weird, and
then Master Splinter comes out, and they accidentally flip a piece of pizza on his head,
and they have good laughs and good times.
I was reading other reviews. I'm glad that we weren't the only people who thought that. Just saying that was the worst.
No, it's
episode.
It's universally.
This is the worst episode ever of Stranger Things.
I did read one good review. Somebody tried to defend the idea of it.
No, don't.
They compared it to Hook. The Robin Williams, and it was like
why just because someone had the Rufio hair,
sort of. But that was like that was like the Lost Boys and Hook, and
I understand that. No, what? No, no one else had powers except for that one person.
No, it wasn't about the powers. It was more just that these people.
No, I don't buy it.
Super.
You tell that reviewer
reality.
to stop.
I got it. I understood what they're saying. They didn't say it was like great, but they got it.
It was bad.
It was not good.
It was horrible.
Did you watch the end of the season finally?
Yeah, I'm done with it.
It's good though.
It's fine. It's good. You know what I didn't get, though? Like, I saw this on the YouTube channels I watch. Why did they just make the big bad villain last year just a bunch of smaller, weaker villains of him?
That was the only one got through.
Not at the end. Well, yeah. But in this one, there's like
200 of them. In the portal.
There's like 200 of them, but they're smaller and weaker.
They were being born here because he widened the portal.
Whatever.
You just didn't get it.
They needed. I understood that, but they needed to have a bigger thing at the end instead of just her holding her hand up.
Spoiler alert!
A hole in the wall.
It was very dramatic.
It was. I mean, listen, it's good stuff, but
I thought it was well done.
I thought so too, and I thought the best part of the whole series had nothing to do with the actual plot about the villain. Was the stuff when they're at the dance or whatever. And then, of course, Paul Reiser playing against type.
Well, no, the homage to Aliens was fantastic.
Yeah, when they had the
beeping
and stuff.
yeah,
That was
where
great. As soon as I saw that, and then they
It's
show
good
Paul
stuff.
Reiser's face, I'm like, oh yeah. But
Whoa.
I wanted more Sean
Whoa.
Astin though. I wanted more Sean.
He was
Astin.
good though.
He was awesome.
And they had him, and you kind
Bob
of think he's
Newby.
going to be he's going to kind of be the turd in the punch bowl, but then he has some good moments.
He had awesome moments, man.
When he figured out the maps, that was
the
good
map,
stuff.
and
Yeah.
he always had what did he? He brought out the compass. He had a compass.
Then he found the ring. And he delivered it to Mordor. It's pretty good.
No, that was awful. But yeah, Stranger Things was good. Now I really have nothing to look forward to.
Life is
Except
over.
for Justice League.
It's
and
done.
I've got such low expectations with that. But you need to see Wonder Woman.
I'm not
You need
gonna
to stop. Like, seriously.
boycott.
It's a standalone movie,
It's
man.
a boycott.
Why?
Cause I told you why. They
You
ruined my
have to
childhood.
explain because you don't like someone that runs the studio.
Well, yeah, the management of DC Comics. It's their vision for what the characters are. I don't.
This is
appreciate
what
it.
Wonder Woman should be, though.
Maybe. I mean,
But you're not going to give
who's
it a
to say?
chance because
She allowed World War II. It's hard to get my head
That's
around.
not. I think that's in the epilogue at the end. Just goes, despite all of her efforts, she ignored humanity, and World War II occurred.
Thanks a lot, Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Well, where was Aquaman during the Iraq War?
It's true. It's true.
I don't know.
Is that near enough water that he can get there? I don't even know.
Doesn't matter. There's tributaries.
He's literally like...
He's going to be the worst thing in the movie.
He has no charisma.
He does have charisma. He doesn't have acting chops.
I just think he's just it's terrible.
I think he's got charisma. I just don't think he can act.
He's just really not great. And they're going to make a whole movie around him.
They already did.
That's going to be a disaster.
I don't know. The director's good, though, doing that movie.
I just think that's going to be...
You just hate everything.
No, I don't. I'm really excited about...
Have you seen Thor yet?
No, yeah, I'm excited about it. I haven't seen it yet.
Well, joke.
I'm excited to laugh.
joke.
What's next? Black Panther and then Avengers?
Black Panther's like...
Or then Ant-Man. No, Ant-Man's after Avengers. I don't know.
I have no interest in Ant-Man.
You didn't like the original Ant-Man?
No.
I thought it was
Actually, I know I say bad things about Marvel, but I usually enjoy their movies. Ant-Man was like the one movie I just did not enjoy. And I skipped the second Thor movie, Dark World, because it looked like crap.
good. That's fine.
But Ant-Man I did not like. Did not like it. It was like they were trying to do Iron Man 1 again. And they did a very bad job of it.
No, I thought it worked.
I didn't.
Train fight on the train table was against him.
I get it, but it was shown all in the preview, so it ruined it.
Well, I'll say this. Ant-Man is going to be like Citizen Kane compared to the Justice League next week. So,
No.
do you think you'll walk out? Do you think that it'll be too painful?
I never
Or do you
walked
think you're
out of a
gonna-
movie.
you just
I didn't
hate-
walk out
You
of
hate
Alien
yourself that
Covenant.
much that you'll sit through it.
I did not walk out of Alien Covenant when he said, "You blow, I'll finger,"
That got intense.
during the flute scene. When that happened, we just should have walked
That
out.
was one of the greatest cinematic mysteries of all time.
How'd that movie get made?
transpired, yeah.
Other than it just being Ridley Scott
That was a disaster. But
or Kong Skull Island.
Kong Skull
There were
Island
some
was
really
just a-
bad movies this
was
past
just a B
summer.
movie, though. I mean, that's...
There
I
were
don't
some really bad movies this past summer.
I think Kong will be like, what's another Oscar? Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind
compared to
Justice League.
the Justice League.
You be kidding me, man?
When's the review embargo? Next week.
The social media embargo lifts at like 11 a.m. or noon tomorrow, Friday.
Next week we should read. I'm going to go through and read some of the best excerpts of the reviews because when critics get, it's like that hive mind. When they find something they can just like rip on, they're gonna love it, and they're gonna try to come up with like ridiculous quotes.
That's what they did with BVS.
Yeah, so
We're like BS,
yeah, it'll be fun. So tune in next week. We'll do that.
said Danielle Purefoy.
Hey, do you think they'll watch the movie instead of going to Charleston? next
Maybe.
week? Maybe they'll see Justice League.
Maybe that'll pump them up.
They can do like a live commentary, like a riff tracks, Austin and D'Angelo.
I did
Justice
listen
League.
to part of the Danny Elfman soundtrack today, so I'm like, maybe something will be good. It was so boring. And he had the Batman theme in there a couple times, but even that was boring. Superman theme was in there like twice.
That's
Boring.
just sacrilege.
The only original theme that's still in there is the Wonder Woman one, and he like somehow screwed that up a little bit. But you don't care. So.
I don't care.
Make his Marvel. Make mine.
No, I'm still mad at they fired XL Junkie or whatever that guy.
XL Junkie? Junkie XL.
I don't have any idea who that is.
He did a good job on Mad Max.
Did he do Mad Max?
Yeah, he did that.
Good.
That's a good soundtrack.
That name
but
is so
that
funny
fits.
to me. That's his name.
Well, because his real name's like really difficult to.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say his real name's like Frank Sullivan.
His name's Josh Smith.
No, I just thought he got fired.
Hans Zimmer loves him. Yeah, he got fired, and then he was just like, "Well,
screw you guys. I'm going home."
Someone was telling. I think it was Hans Zimmer. Maybe told him, "Goes, well, you haven't really made it in this business unless you've been fired from a project."
Yeah,
and they put him in charge. I mean. He did that horrible rendition of Together that was on the trailers. Come Together right now.
Oh, for the Justice League?
Yeah.
Oh, that was him?
It's just
Okay,
horrible.
gotcha. Yeah, no, it's going to be really bad.
I think it's tracking for like $150 million, though.
I don't even think
It's
it'll
more
make
than
that
Thor.
much. I don't think it'll make more than Thor.
How much do you think it'll make? $2?
Yeah, it's 65
$2.50.
65 cents.
Well.
Are you going to live tweet it?
No.
You should live tweet your emotions while watching.
No, God.
Just emojis while you're watching the movie. Eventually you get to like the one with the gun. Like, well,
no, it's a water gun now.
It's a water pistol. Or like the poop emoji, so you know when the exact moment you poop your pants during the movie, we'll know.
Yeah,
it'll be good. You should do that.
I think there will be a moment in the movie though where I'll be able to tell when Ben Affleck just quit.
He's quit. He quit well before he started shooting. Like you should see, and that was my favorite thing.
There'll be one reshoot. He's just sitting there drinking a beer.
That was my favorite thing that came out of Batman vs Superman. Those. Sad Ben Affleck, where they're playing the music when he's doing the interviews. That was pretty great. Terrible.
Well, I feel real bad for all those actors making millions of dollars.
It's tough.
Making crappy movies. All right, this is 72 minutes long. No one listened to the last 30. All right, thanks for listening to the Auburn Undercover podcast presented by WeHaveDonuts.com, DOUGH, nuts.com. Go to them. Order donuts. They're great. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you Saturday at Jordan-Hare Stadium for the Deep South's oldest rivalry. Should be a good one, you would think. 2:30 p.m. CBS. Partner 24/7 Sports.
There's a double header too.
There is. I don't even know what the game is at 11.
Florida and whoever Florida's playing.
Florida and South Carolina. That's at South Carolina.
There you go.
South Carolina will win that one big. All right. Thanks for joining us.